Join me right now on Kumite TV is undefeated UFC bantamweight Macy Chiasson. What's going on, Macy?
That was great, the way you pronounce my last name. It's all good though. It's a tough one. I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Oh, how is it supposed to be pronounced?
Chiasson.
Okay. I can't do that. That's a little bit too
I'll
hard for
like
me.
Chiasson, but it's a tough one. I think the only person who's gotten it right so far is Michael Bisping,
Okay.
our commentator. So,
Well, next time I'll definitely say it
I'm just messing
properly.
with you. Just trying to give you some shit.
All right, it's all good. All right, before we get into the fight stuff, I wanted to talk about coffee because I think that that's something that
Okay.
you're deep into. For a novice like me, what type of like brew or drink would you recommend? Because I saw something that you were drinking with like jalapenos in it, and that's kind
Yeah.
of different.
Yeah, so the coffee shop that I go to, here in Dallas, they do a bunch of like different infusions in their coffee, and one of them, a special that they had was a cortado with basically jalapeno infused into it. And do you know what a cortado is? I mean, basically a cortado is like a shot of espresso with a little bit of milk. Um, so, you have lattes, cappuccinos, but cortado, I think, is a little bit more up my alley if I wanted something like milk added to it. But I usually get just black coffee. But yeah, it was definitely interesting. I'd probably get it again, but I like trying new things. So
Is a barista in your future? Do you believe?
It's so crazy. I've always wanted to do that when I was in college. I wanted to be a barista so bad. I just didn't have time to do it, because when I was in college, that's when I started training really heavily in MMA. But I think like if I ever see myself like retired, wanted to do something low key, I definitely would have a coffee shop, be a barista, just like hang out at my coffee shop and drink coffee all day. That would be like an ideal fantasy for me, a dream.
Well, I think that's a very possible dream. After fighting,
Yeah.
it'll
Yeah.
be a good thing to do, right? It'll be fun.
Maybe get a little like a little shack in Costa Rica or something away from everyone else.
Definitely, that's the best way.
Yeah.
Uh, all right, well, you've been through a lot in the last couple of months. Of course, everybody knows that, your apartment was crushed and you
hmm
lost pretty much everything. Take us through the aftermath. Did you take time away from training to get everything, your life situated?
I mean, I think I was forced to an extent. Like there was a few days where I wasn't training, just because I had a small injury. Actually, like cut my foot open on some glass when I was trying to run out the complex during the whole situation. And so I had to take a few days off. My parents had to come in and get me in Dallas, bring me back to New Orleans. I had to get all new documentation. I had to get new ID. I had to get a new passport. Just the stuff that you really don't want to deal with. And yeah, I mean, it sucks. I lost all of my stuff, but things are replaceable, and having to go and get an ID, yeah, it's annoying and it takes time, but I'm just happy and blessed that I wasn't injured to the extent of some people were. One woman died. They had several people that were critically injured. I mean, smashed by objects. It was horrific, But I welcome things like that in my life, even though it's something that no one wants to go through. I welcome things like that, and I've been through a lot, in my life. Not to say that other people haven't, but I think it's very important, especially in the sport that we do, is to have that mental toughness and to have those kind of go through those kind of situations and figuring out, okay, well, how am I going to take this situation? Am I going to make the best of it and kind of see the good in it, or am I going to just try and say, oh, the world hates me, I think I was trying to be optimistic about it, and I think I did get something good out of the horrible situation. Once I was in New Orleans, I was training nonstop. I kind of used like training as a way to like psychologically get me through that hardship. And I think that's what MMA has really brought into my life. That's kind of how I started. I wasn't always like a good person at heart. There were times where I was angry and I didn't have a way of like expressing that. And MMA and martial arts is basically what opened that door up for me. So, as a whole, the whole situation, MMA has always kind of been there for me to help me through hard times.
So this situation, it basically built more or added character to
Yeah,
yourself. You know what I mean? Like got you stronger overall.
absolutely, absolutely. I just look at it as a situation to make me a better person. What can I take and give from this?
Yeah, I think that makes you a more understanding person in many ways, right? When you see people go through
Yeah,
things.
absolutely, absolutely, 100%.
All right, let's get into the fighting. It's been almost a year since you were sitting at home preparing for the Ultimate Fighter finale. Now you're 3 fights in with powerful. I call them powerful performances because that's what you've been in the octagon. Powerful. Can
So
you
much.
sum up into words? What the ride has been like? Because it's been fast.
Yeah. Oh, it's been a very fast ride. It's like, how can I slow this down? Man, I just never in a million years thought I'd be where I am right now in a year. And I think it just has a lot to do with, putting my head down and continuing to move forward, not trying to make everything a big deal, but, always being ready for whatever's next. Every time I'm in camp, I'm training for the fight, but I'm always training for the fight that's ahead of it, and the one that's ahead of that one. So, yeah, I mean, it's been a crazy journey. It's been a super fast journey.
Before you made your bantamweight debut at UFC 235, you said you were running like 30 miles per week to make bantamweight. Since then, have
Yeah.
you got better at keeping your weight down, or are you still running a lot?
Running is always going to be a part of what I do now, as far as camp goes. All around, it's made me physically, it's made me a better looking athlete, and I'm a little bit obsessed with it now. It's just one of those things where it's like I find a rhythm of doing something. Can I just do it excessively? That's just me as a person. I'm a perfectionist, so whenever there's something I'm bad at, like running or jujitsu or striking, I'm gonna put X amount of hours in to get that much better at it. And I'd say it probably ended up mixing it up a little bit more this camp, as far as like sprints and running, and instead of just doing the same thing over and over every day, I've gotten better as an athlete as to choosing what days I should go a little bit harder or run a little bit further, and which days should I go a little lighter. But I'm still running a lot every week. It's definitely a part of my training now.
As a perfectionist, do you have to have people kind of pull you back from going too far, extending yourself?
Yeah, pretty much everyone in my life, and it's basically like walking on glass. The only person that I'm pretty much like fully surrendered to is my coach, Safe, at Fortis, and he says something, I'm like, okay. But when he's giving me hints like, I think you need to take a day off. I think you need to do this, and in my mind, I'm like, no, I don't need a day off. Let's add an extra day to the week. If we can have 9 days a week, let's do it. Yeah, but definitely everyone's like, you've been going real hard this camp, but that's just me. I'm always trying to make myself better. I'm always trying to be a better version of myself. And if it sometimes means I got to drive myself into the ground and then pick myself back up, it's something that I've always done. It's kind of, how I've always been in life.
Well, that's what's gotten you to this point, right?
I would think so, yeah, for sure. I mean, it has to. And I always tell myself the days where I'm hurting the most, like it has to pay off. It has to pay off. It's going to pay off. And it's been paying off. So I keep giving the way I'm giving.
When you see Aspen Ladd going through that rough, those rough weight cuts, and it's all online, there's nothing to hide. What's going
Yeah.
through your mind?
It just really sucks. Like, I hate social media is an awesome and terrible place, no one wants to say anything until you do the wrong thing. No one wants, people always hold off or wait and this or that when you're doing the right thing. And then you do one wrong thing and everyone's on you, and she looks like she trains hard. She seems like an awesome person. I personally do not know her, but I feel for her. I mean, when I had to make weight 4 weeks later in Ottawa, I mean, the media was waiting there, to see if I would make weight. They waited an extra hour, and it's just cruel. You have people that are missing weight all the time, and you don't see that. You don't see that headlining, right? You see one bad weight cut by Aspen, and everyone wants to hate her. Everyone wants to say, "Hey, go to 45 or do this or look into your nutrition." You don't think she's doing that? You don't think a professional athlete is looking into their nutrition, you know? But it could be a lot of factors. People don't understand that there's a lot of outside forces when it comes to weight cuts. It's a science, it's a science. And you have 1 week where your nutrition was kind of weird and something happened that could be detrimental, for fight week. So it kind of just depends. I mean, I don't really know what happened with that, but I definitely feel for her because I know how the media can get and I know how fans can get. They just want to see you fail sometimes. And in a sport that's so hard, I mean, you're literally doing so much to be an MMA fighter in the UFC. You're not just striking. You're running, you're striking, you're doing jiu-jitsu, you're having MMA practices. There's a lot that goes into the sport. So people don't understand that nutrition is harder in a way for us females.
I think nutrition is the biggest mental battle as
It
a
is.
fighter.
It
'Cause
is.
everybody loves food. Who doesn't love food? Like,
Everyone loves food. And the thing is like you have to be so committed to the sport and like you have friends that are going, hey, let's go to brunch on Sunday. Let's get some mimosas, let's get these pancakes, these waffles, and it's hard because you train your ass off and you're so hungry by the time you get home. No one wants to eat broccoli and turkey, or broccoli and chicken. But that's the price you pay with wanting to be something, high level in the sport.
all right, let's go to your last fight. It was at UFC Ottawa. You finished Sarah Morris in the second round. What were the keys to victory in that fight for you?
Well, I mean, like always, we wanted to start standing, but I was really, I was like I started a little crazy. I was like, I want to get this going, and I ran it, and it was so funny. Like right before we walked out, my coach was like, let's relax, let's not do this. And it's exactly what happened when I went out there, and she kind of just dove in for a takedown as soon as I went out there to get my jab going. We knew that Sarah, Sarah's fought some legit people. She's fought some tough girls, and she's gone the distance with these girls, So even though her record might have been even 5-5 or 5-6 or whatever, you can't just look at someone's record and just say, oh, I mean, you have to look at how they made it there, the experience that they have. And I knew she had some pretty slick jiu-jitsu. And she's pretty heavy on top, and I was able to reverse it and get back on top. And for me, I'm just so competitive. As soon as I get in there, I'm just ready to go, and I could just hear my coach in the back, like, settle down, to try and get more of a good position before I started throwing hammers. And then second round, I was like, you're not going to take me down again. So I threw that front kick, and it caught her. And I was able to get top mount position from there, finish the fight.
Yeah, I think you proved a lot in that fight, especially on short notice, because Sarah is,
Right.
She has fought like the best of the best in that division. And yeah, her record doesn't really show it, but yeah, she is a test for anybody. Now,
Right.
you move on. Now you're going to Europe, to Copenhagen. You went to Canada last time. You're facing a European, Lina Lansberg.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on her?
Yeah, kudos to her. I watched her coming up in MMA, and I always thought she had great stand up. And, now as I progress forward and, I had this matchup with her, she's shown a lot that she's well-rounded. She's a well-rounded MMA fighter. She fought Tanya Evinger 3 hard rounds, top position, so she's shown improvement in areas that you wouldn't have thought like she would improve on, but she's a very well-rounded opponent, and I think it's a great matchup for me, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm actually really excited about this fight.
You are 11, she is 12 in the rankings. You expressed a desire to face somebody in the top 10 after your last fight.
Right.
Is there a hint of disappointment, when you got this offer?
No, there's no disappointment because, Lina Lansberg, just like I said about Sarah, has fought some really tough people. I mean, she fought Chris Cyborg, she fought Aspen Ladd. I mean, she's been through like the fire of people that I would like to fight, you know, in the future. And we were trying to set up more of like a top 10 opponent. It just didn't fall through. You know, she was the one who ended up taking the fight, and we were able to get a fight with. So, you know, as far as this goes, like we're ready to fight. You know, whoever's going to take the fight, let's do it.
Your last fight was short notice. This time you got a good amount of time to prepare.
Like,
You know, how has training camp
God,
been going?
the
Hmm?
training camp's been awesome, man. I mean, like I said, I started out early. It's been about a 10-week training camp just because I was out of, you know, network for a while. I had to go back to New Orleans because of the whole crane thing. So as soon as I got back in July, late June, early July, I mean, we went right to work. So, I mean, I've put in like almost 10 weeks in a training camp, and my diet has been on point for 10 weeks, you know, considering flight and travel and all that stuff. And, you know, like I said, I'm a perfectionist, and I always want to make myself better and better each time, you know, especially last time struggling with like point 0.4. I was like, we're not going to do that again. I was like, everything's going to be to the T when we get in Copenhagen. There's like no surprises, you know. So this has been a grueling camp. It's been long. It's been hard. My body is screaming. But like I said, I'm looking at that light at the end of the tunnel, and it's there. I can see it, and just got to keep moving forward.
Fortis MMA has a new facility. I don't know how old it's only been a couple of months from what I remember. How you liking the new spot and the bells and whistles that comes with it?
So I've been in Dallas for a year now, and Fortis MMA has been open for 2 years. And coach actually just got another facility, like a recovery facility for us down the street, to where we can do like Normatec boots, cryotherapy. It's crazy because like when I started training at Fortis, I feel so spoiled. You know, it's like anything I could ever wish for in a coach, in a team, in a gym, in a community. It's literally all there, you know. And man, I wish I would have had those resources from when I first started, you know, because there's young kids in there that are training for amateur fighting, and I'm like, you guys are set up, you know. And you don't realize it, but when I was training in New Orleans, it's hard to get all those resources, you know, in a small place, small town that doesn't have a big fight community. It's hard to get, you know, full access to all the stuff that you need: rehabilitation, good training partners, the right minded coach, you know. So it's really been a treat for me. I mean, I, you know, it's almost like why do I deserve this? This is such a great setup. It really is.
With this fight coming up, you win this fight. Where do you feel like you fit into the bantamweight division?
I think if we can go out with a bang, it'll hopefully I'll be close to top 5. You know, I mean, we've been putting in a lot of work this camp, and I expect Lina to be the best she's ever been when I fight her September 28th, and I welcome it. It's my favorite thing about fighting people, you know, predetermined is, you know, they're going to be the best that they've ever been, you know. And I saw it with Tanya, and I know she's going to be the best she's ever been now. So thinking, you know, wherever she wants to take it, that's how I say it. Wherever you want to take it, that's where we're going to go. So
A big fight's coming up, you know, UFC 245. You got Nunez versus Durandame. What is your breakdown of this fight? Because I know you got your eyes on it.
yeah, Amanda's hot right now, man. So is GDR. She looked great against Aspen. She's always looked really good. Her stand-up's awesome. I'm really excited to see how this pans out, you know, because we didn't get to see GDR with Cyborg. You know, that never happened. She gave up the title. So I'm really curious to see how this plans out. I think we're going to be looking at some really great high-level striking and pretty intense striking, I must say. So I'm excited about it. I always say, like, MMA is 50-50. It's so hard to say one thing or another. But, you know, Amanda's hot right now. I think she's the one, obviously, that's got the biggest chance. But I'm not going to be two-sided.
Paige Van Zant, you know, she expressed her frustration with the fighter pay. And she
Yeah.
said that in a way, she said that she believes that she should be paid more than a champion, you know. And Do you think a fighter that's not a champion or has never been a champion should be paid more than a champion?
Yeah, it's pretty controversial. I understand where she's coming from, because she has done a lot more than most women in the UFC have outside of the UFC. So I totally understand where she's coming from there. But I don't think that it's on the same level as someone who has trained their ass off, beat top opponents, and holds the title. I don't think that that's fair at all. Now, I mean, she can say whatever she wants if she holds a title. She can say you need to be paying me this, this, and this because I'm doing this outside of the UFC and I'm a champion. Um, but I do understand where she's coming from, but I do not think it's the same thing. I do not.
All right, one last thing before I let you go. Do you consider yourself a martial artist or a fighter?
Man, it's almost like there's two sides to me. Like I think what got me into martial arts is the fact that deep down inside I am a fighter. That's who I've always been since I was a kid. I've always been like, my mom's like, come home at 9 p.m., come home at 12, and I've always been that kind of person that's gone against, whatever was coming forward. And I think me at heart being a fighter has made me turn into a martial artist,
All
if
right.
that makes sense.
Oh, definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a question that most fighters, when I ask them, it kind of catches them off guard at the end. Yeah, but it's
But
all
no,
good.
I get what you're saying. Like the discipline, and then like the fight in you, the person you are as a human. But I totally get it. Yeah.
All right, well, September 28th, UFC on ESPN plus 18, Copenhagen, Denmark. Thank you, Macy, for the time, and good luck to you and your future.
Let's go. Thank you.